Okay, students, let us now begin our second lesson. Okay, remember, this is where we stopped on our first lesson. We're merely speaking about the demonstrating basic knowledge about foreign exchange. So, as a well-trained travel consultant, it is quite important that you understand foreign exchange, how it works, how to convert, and how you'll be able to advise your clients in taking foreign currency abroad. So the first topic, we're looking at the current annual South African travel allowance for adults. So in your textbook, it's on page 3. We said this allowance, it's now called the discretionary allowance of 160,000 Rand for adults, and 18 years and younger, they are given 50,000 Rand. But we did specify, we did put it clearly that our textbook at this current stage is outdated. Therefore, these funds no longer exist. They are new funds for the current currency rates. Okay. Then when we move on, we're looking now at 1.2, still on your page 3 of your textbook. What a travel allowance is and how it applies throughout one calendar year. We now know, as well-trained travel consultancy rather, a travel allowance is now called the discretionary allowance and is the money that can be used for travel, can be used for travel. When we go on, we'll see what exactly can we purchase with this travel allowance or this discretionary allowance given to us. Here we go. This allowance is the total sum of monies, okay? Total sum of monies that an adult traveler may convert into foreign currency for the purpose of traveling and the purpose of buying gifts, making donations, maintenance, and or rather traveling. Okay, the allowance is valid for the calendar year. So this is very important and you should know because normally they do ask such questions in your final examinations. Or even if you're not gonna be asked in a final examination, your client as a travel consultant will ask you these questions in future. That as a travel consultancy, what is a discretionary allowance? How does it apply? What can I buy with such an allowance? So a well-trained travel consultant must be able to explain those questions to the client. Okay, then we look at Omnibus allowance. I'm on page 3, on page 5 rather of your textbook. Omnibus allowance for companies and for frequent overseas business travelers. Okay, so the omnibus facility is an allowance separate from the discretionary allowance. This is used by companies whose representatives travel frequently on business. Okay, so omnibus is really different to the discretionary or the travel allowance. Remember that? An omnibus is for businesses. Omnibus is for companies, for people who will be traveling abroad for business. Okay, for example, if Majuba College will take me to study abroad or to go for a certain training overseas, so the allowance that I'll qualify for will be an omnibus allowance. An omnibus allowance, again, students, it does not affect the travel allowance or the discretionary allowance. It doesn't mean if I've traveled by business and use the omnibus allowance, now the amount that I will get when I travel privately will be affected. It will not be affected at this stage. Okay, so that's what that was rather our second lesson.